Hi, John Cox with Covenant Solar and Roofing. You're tuned in to Only Roofers Podcast.
Welcome to the Only Roofers Podcast. My name's Elizabeth. I'm here with my co-host Vince.
Hi, guys.
We are interviewing John Cox from Covenant Roofing and Restoration out of Raleigh, North Carolina, correct?
Yep, Covenant Solar,
Solar.
and
Roofing.
Roofing out
Okay.
of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
We are actually located in 9 different locations, so we're all over North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
We're in Fredericksburg, Virginia, Louisville, Kentucky, Houston, Texas, and Denver, Colorado.
Oh,
So
wow.
talk to us about how you got to Covenant.
So how I got to Covenant was an interesting story in itself. I was actually posting jobs on Indeed for the roofing company I was managing. And I saw their ad, and it spoke to me because they use a product called Culture Index to identify the work traits of the individuals that we hire. So
Right.
Wow.
you've heard the story, right person, right seat.
Yeah.
Kind
Right.
of thing.
Yeah.
So this is a product that we use. You may have seen it under other labels like DISC or Myers-Briggs or Predictive Index. So
Okay.
we use Culture Index. So we very deliberately bring on people into the organization that fit a certain work trait.
Wow.
That's about 5% of the population. So we're putting
Nice.
the right person into the right position in the organization so that they've got a good work-life balance and so that they don't feel exhausted by the end of the day by what they're doing. But
Feel
naturally-
energized.
And
Yeah,
it's,
they feel
and
energized.
it's industry specific, meaning you find someone who will match your culture and your industry.
Yeah, for example, so my Culture Index profile is an architect. So
Okay.
I'm good at command and control, follow-up, follow-through, putting processes in place, finding the human capital to move that process, and then managing it and overseeing it, but allowing those people to go do their thing and their job based on their own Culture Index traits. For example, I built a supplementing department in this company and put the right people in the right position, let them do their thing, and within 4 months they'd clawed back about $1.2 million in supplements and appeal approvals.
Wow.
Congrats.
So,
That's nice.
So let's talk a little bit about how you got started into the roofing industry as a whole. How'd you get started?
Your background.
wow. So when I was 17 years old in 1978, I was building cedar shake roofs in Omaha, Nebraska as a teenager for a general contractor. So that's how I got started in roofing.
So
Wow.
how was that process, right? How is it installing cedar shake roofs?
Well,
That's pretty
it was
78.
gruesome.
1978,
Yeah, in
so
78.
it was gruesome. Yeah, you're right, because it was all space decking, 2-inch gaps. You're using that to basically as a ladder to walk your way up the roof.
Wow.
You were dragging bundles of raw cedar shake material
Wow.
with a hand hatchet, and you were cutting them to size and hand nailing them.
Wow.
Oh,
Right. So
That is, I don't know what better word for it,
Backbreaking.
but like,
yeah, and with paper
Wow.
felt, and you were layering them in between each course, right? So
Wow.
it was very old school, very old way.
how long did you do that for?
I did that for 2 years, and then in 1980 I enlisted in the United States Air Force.
He said,
Wow.
I found an easier job.
Yeah,
I'll go in the
well,
Air
not
Force.
really. I was an Air Force crew chief on
Oh.
F-4 Phantom, so that wasn't much easier.
what made you enlist?
So my father was a World War II veteran. Both of my grandfathers were World War I veterans. My
Thank you
oldest
for your
brother was a
service.
Vietnam
Thank
veteran.
you and your family for your
Yeah.
services.
Yeah, thank you guys for your
Yeah,
service.
yeah. And my son was a Marine as well.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So, and
So-
I'm retired Air Force.
So the military is the family business.
Well, no, not really, because we all served. I'm actually the only member of my family going all the way back to the Revolution who ever served a full retirement.
Wow.
So everybody else just served, did their thing, played their part, but I did the whole.
So
deal.
you did the military and you did roofing.
I
How was
did.
that?
So for the last 13 years, I retired from the military back in May of 2021, and so I literally I could have served one more year. I'm going to be 60 in April.
Yeah.
And I could have served one more year in the reserves of the Guard, but I decided to retire, and I would go out on deployment, serve, and then come back to my roofing career. Incrementally over 13 years of my last 13 years of my service, and. For me, it was I use it as like a vacation because I'm not really driven to take vacations. So I'd be
Right.
like, oh, I'm going to deploy. That'll be my vacation, right? To get
Oh
away
my
from my home.
gosh, that's
And then I come back. Then I
hilarious.
come back and do my job in
That's
the roofing
great.
business. And
I love it.
Yeah, it was great.
And you have kids?
I do. I have 4 kids, two grown children, and then a couple of high school kids still.
Nice. Are they in the roofing industry?
Actually, my son was in the roofing industry, in Omaha.
Nice.
What kind of drew your son into it? It was, oh, my dad did it, I should do it? Or
Well, I was doing it in Colorado, and he was in Omaha, and I said, he was out of the Marine Corps, and I said, hey, why don't you come out and work these storms? I'll teach you how to work, hail restoration damage, And he came out in 2016, and that's what we did. And he helped out, and made
So
good money. of
Getting
course.
back to your hiring at Covenant and the culture, and then finding the right people for the right position.
Sure.
Okay, so do you think your profile as an architect and structure, so is that something that you think you've always had, or is that something the military gave you?
Yeah, actually, Culture Index will say that you've had those traits since you were age 12. They're
Okay.
developed by age 12.
Gotcha. So not the military.
No, but the military will help you refine. So even though you're set with this certain culture, and I'd love to do one on you, Liz.
No,
Send me-
okay.
I'll send you a
Yes.
Culture Index survey, right? So you'll know what you are going forward, and it'll match up to who you already know you are. But you're able to modify. We all modify to a certain degree
Yeah.
what we do, right? So
Our own
you may have
version.
had a late night, right? But you're here, peppy, on
Yeah.
camera,
No,
did
she's
your
an old
thing.
lady now.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
she's
an,
married, little lady,
Yeah.
She's a very old
no
lady
more
now.
party.
You know what it is? I have evolved.
We evolve, yes,
Yes.
that's right.
You said
And
we're
that's-
always modifying.
We're
Yeah.
modifying. We're
Yeah.
modifying who we are and stretching some of those skills based on
So
experience.
I could
and
do
age
better
and
here
some-
with you today.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. I mean,
I went to sleep at 7, so I'm
hey,
good.
I'm right there. That was like 10:30.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm-
yeah.
You guys,
I'm really
you
old.
stayed up later than I did. I went to sleep at
Really?
9.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
So the culture index. So it's you had it from 12, and now in the
Yeah,
in
we all
military
do.
refined it.
Yeah, military helps refine it, and just other skills like, you hear things like situational leadership, not just coaching or when to know when to coach, when to know when to lean back, when to know when to engage, based on the situation versus just one structured
Okay,
process.
so how do you structure your research and development phases, right? Because that's kind of why you're here today. You want to see what's next, right?
Right.
So now when you take this information, how do you debrief yourself? How do you debrief your team? How do you present those opportunities and then strategize to execute?
Right. So when I
So
walk
I
around,
might be ex-military, you
no,
know that?
well, no, that's true because I'm kind of the innovator in the company. I'm kind of the
Yeah.
subject matter expert of roofing for the entire organization. In a $30 million roofing operation, that covers a lot of
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah, it's a big boat to
it's
move.
it's a big boat to move. You just don't move it on a dime. So,
Yeah.
so some of the things that I look at, I've been looking at for a couple of years. For example, this retail model within the insurance industry, right?
Yeah.
That is
Right.
gaining more traction. I've been watching that for a couple of years, and I've been gaining information. I stay up at night and I listen to podcasts and I engage myself in those things,
Okay.
and so I develop that information. I try to bring as much detail to that as possible, and then I can produce an executive summary and provide it to the upper leadership team and the owner, right?
That's
and say,
amazing.
hey, this is something we need to start thinking about.
Here's 2 years of research is what I came back with.
Right. Or
Yeah.
maybe it's a week's worth of research, and this is something we need to move on now, right?
Right.
It just depends
Yeah.
on the situation. So I'm always looking
Do you
for
think that
different-
is something that the industry should look forward?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Because, again, somebody who did roofing back in the 70s, of course, we worked storm damage back then in a very, very prehistoric way, right? So if you got hit with a hailstorm in Omaha, Nebraska in the late 70s, an adjuster would show up to the house. He never would get up on the roof. They would basically just know that a storm happened. They could see all the collateral damage around,
Right.
whatever. They would handwrite a check in the driveway, hand it to them. The deductibles were $100 or less sometimes, and a cedar shake roof on a 30-square house was $5,000. No big deal, right?
Why do you think that's the what people should be looking forward to, and not managed repair programs
Well, managed repair programs.
at scale, meaning not here or there?
Well, at scale, I don't know. I mean, I know people use them, but at scale, it restricts the contractor from being able to correctly repair what is broken based on the cost or the value of what that might
So
be.
you think
and that's fair, but-
retail sales to restoration is better than joining an MRP?
Yeah, I do. I believe the financing model within the insurance restoration is probably the direction that we all should be heading, because
Do you have a good financing
because
program?
we're not in a contract with
Oh.
the insurance company, right?
Correct.
Right.
So
Contract with the homeowner.
we're in a contract with the homeowner.
the contractors-
and the insurance carrier is in a contract with the homeowner.
Correct.
Where do we fit into that?
Yeah. The homeowner.
The homeowner.
Correct.
Right? But that's a difficult.
Do you guys have a very specific way to educate your clients into the insurance claims process? What does that look like for you?
Well, it's probably similar to what the rest of the industry does. We obviously engage the customer through door knocking or through referrals, all the normal engagement paths.
Right.
But once you've actually made your assessment of the roof, you sit down with them. You really have to have a frank conversation across the table with them and explain all their options, explain all the pitfalls of how the insurance carrier is giving you an estimate, which is basically an uneducated third party who isn't a construction expert deciding what is damaged on the home and what its approximate value is. As construction experts, we have to get down to where it actually is the cost. What's broken? What's it going to take to fix it? What's the cost? Right.
Right.
How
And
does a huge company like yours now start to pivot? Like what can even be next steps for someone who already has a large successful organization within our industry, right? How can we actually execute on that?
Well, I mean, there's other things coming too, right? So there's other ways of leveraging financing, other ways of leveraging resources and money out there in the industry, right? That's going to be coming. I'm certain of it because I've heard messaging of that. So one of the challenges is AR, right? Accounts receivable, because we're not in
Always.
a contract. We're not in a
Always.
contract with the insurance carrier.
Correct.
So we're waiting for them to indemnify their customers so that we can get paid.
Exactly.
We can take some of that load off of people that we don't have any control over, and allow the customer to have control of that money, where we get paid sooner, whether it be through financing or some other avenue, right? Then we'll all be in a much better position, because this is speed to money we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? That's what makes business move.
Yeah, and the thing that I've heard that really just affects contractors in a very negative way is such a high AR, and still that accounts payable is not changing. Like, you still got to pay your bills.
Still got to pay your bills.
Yes.
So it's just being ready to get ready for that next shift in the industry. What's kind of like your final tip to everyone on how to watch those numbers closely and be ready to move?
Keep an open mind. I was in a couple focus groups while I've been here, and you've got old school roofers. We all meet them, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I might be an old school roofer, but I'm very open-minded and very open to innovation, right?
Yeah.
And so I kept myself grounded in that.
That's my favorite type. I love my favorite type of roofing contractor to work with when it comes down to business end is an old school roofer who's open-minded.
Yeah.
Because you have the experience, you have the knowledge, and you have the depth
Right.
in the industry, and then you're willing to adapt, innovate, and
change and
change.
move.
Yes.
That is the most strategic, lethal combination of someone who can dominate, take over
You don't
anything
find it
they
often.
do in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the people that personally mentor me, and
Oh,
I've
yeah.
learned a lot from
Sure.
you and all of our different interactions we've had over the years. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for
You're
coming
welcome.
on the
Thanks.
show
Thanks for
and,
coming on.
Appreciate it.
and
Yeah,
sharing your
thank
knowledge
you.
with us. We
Thank you.
appreciate you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome,
Thank
Melissa.
you. Thank
My
you
pleasure.
all for watching another episode of the Only Roofers podcast. Catch you guys on the next one.
See you guys.
Bye.